guys, this is my review for Lord of the Rings War in the North. So from having played essentially every single Lord of the Rings game that has ever came out, The Hobbit, The Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return of the King and The Third Age, all on the PlayStation 2, Lord of the Rings Conquest, Aragorn's Quest, and the Lord of the Rings Battle of Middle-earth PC series, and also Lord of the Rings War of the Ring, which is an earlier game on the PC, I can comfortably now say that this, right here, right there, Lord of the Rings War in the North is the best Lord of the Rings game ever. Structurally, this is your basic action RPG. You have your party of people, you have your new gear that you can change and equip, depending on whether it's better than the previous stuff. You can upgrade your gear gets damaged, you have to repair your gear, you can change your appearance. It's your typical action RPG by just that basic outlook. But then whenever you actually physically play the game and you notice that there's no frame rate issues, there's no screen tearing that happens. As far as having played it now 1.5 times, I could not find any glitches. The graphics are beautiful, the environment, the facial animations when characters are talking. Most of the voice acting, just not Aragorn, he was horrible. And everything like that, all put together makes this a fantastic game. What I am talking about the voice acting, like I said, Aragorn does not fit his voice at all in this game. It's kind of feminine voice, it's a little bit annoying. But apart from that, all the other voices I think are well matched. You have Gandalf and Legolas and everyone like that. And the characters still maintain their visual similarities to the characters in the movie, but they have different voice actors. The reason I think that they've maintained the visibility and what the characters actually look like in the movies, simply because that is the only way we can relate to them. This entire previous string of Lord of the Rings games, you know, Aragorn has always looked like Viggo Mortensen, Legolas has always looked like he did in the movies, Gandalf has always looked like he did in the movies, and that's just not going to change in any Lord of the Rings game. Wait, what's that? What? Saruman is a little upset he wasn't in this one. He'll be fine. So I'll put a link here in this box area to my unboxing video for the collector's edition, and along the top here I'll put the 3 links to a short gameplay video for each of the 3 party members, which is Farin, Champion of Erebor, he's the dwarf character, Eridan, a Dunedain Ranger, and Andriel, the lore keeper of Rivendell, who's the mage character. I have a short gameplay video for each of those. I'll put them along the top of the video page here, so you can go check out what the characters are like. Each character have their own abilities, and they can do things that other characters can't do. For example, even in the very first area of the game, if you're playing as the mage, you'll see basically a wall that has like a blue circle on it. She can go over, she can detect it. There's something hidden behind this wall. She casts a spell, the wall disappears, she goes through, and there's some good loot. Also, the mage is the only character who can gather herbs and then create the potions. Any character can create the potions, but she's the only one that can actually pick up the herbs, so her. The same as she detected the blue ring on the wall. The dwarf will see like cracks on a wall and they'll be highlighted, they'll be like really, really yellow. And he can smash through that wall then, and there will be good loot behind it. And then with the ranger character, as you play through the game, every now and then he will encounter like a set of blue footprints that only he can see. So you follow these footprints, and then it will have like the ranger's crest on a rock or a wall, and you inspect the crest, and then it will find a hidden cache that a fellow ranger has left behind, which again will contain some really good loot. And very often right beside those is actually a normal treasure chest, so double the loot and double the gear, double the money, blah blah. I have noticed in this that the ranger character and the champion character, they don't have any mana or power, as it's called in this, regeneration over time, and they don't have any health regeneration over time either, which leads you going through a lot of potions. But the mage character has power regeneration and health regeneration just as a passive thing, and there is talents in her skill tree that increase the rate of that as well. I've played both the Xbox version and the PC version, and I think the Xbox version is better. In the PC version, it's kind of difficult to hit people at times, as there's no lock-on system, so you just kind of have to move and start freaking tapping, which makes it a little bit difficult to hit people. Not completely impossible, but just a little bit more difficult than it is on the console, just through that sheer lack of any lock-on system. The shop and the menu interface are both very similar, and they're both very easy to navigate. It's just smooth, up, down, freaking different kinds of armour, and then the miscellaneous items and your weaponry. It's very simple, very easy. It can be a little bit annoying initially. Your special attacks are hotkeyed to several different buttons. Like for ones you'll have to hold down right trigger to use, for ones you'll have to hold down left trigger to use, and for some you'll have to hold down left bumper or right bumper, and it can get a little bit confusing and hectic and a little bit annoying at the start, but eventually then you do get used to it and it just becomes smooth and easy. And aye. The game gives you the option to change your character at the end of a level. I recommend not doing this because whatever gear you give to, say, the dwarf character when you're playing as a mage, whatever gear you give to him, and then if you switch to him, he's not going to have that gear anymore. Because when you give him that gear, he is just an NPC, as is the other character you're not playing as. They are NPC characters. They are not your save file for that character, if you know what I mean. So when you switch to that character, you'll have whatever you accumulated while playing as that character, but not items that were given to you from another character while you're playing as the other character. A little bit confusing, I know, but that's just how the game is. And on that note, you can't actually level up your teammates. They level up themselves. You can't specify which direction you want them to take or what skills you want them to learn. They do that all themselves. You have no say over that, which is a little bit annoying. But I guess it just gives you more time when they focus on your character. But also you can't switch between them, on the fly. Like you're in a fight and your character's about to die, so you switch to another one. You can't do that. You're stuck with the one character unless you decide to switch at the end of a level, which, like I said, I recommend against. Purely because there's no point in it, really. Another good thing about this title is that I've noticed in games before that while you're in combat, you can't actually level up and spend your skill points. But in this you can. You just press back and you level up in the middle of a fight. Whenever you're putting skill points into something like your stamina or your strength, it actually tells you on the side, by how much. Like your total health will increase by putting it in stamina, or by how much your melee damage will increase by putting it in strength, or by how much your power bar will increase by putting it in will. And I think that's a very nice thing to have. It's just more accurate. You just know just how much you're going to be improved, as opposed to just hoping that it's by a decent amount or hoping it's as much as you want it to be. As I briefly mentioned before, you can give your NPC teammates items. You can give them equipment, you can give them weapons, but you cannot choose what they wear. And it seems like they just equip whatever item they're carrying that has the highest remaining durability, even if that weapon's not really good for them. Like the dwarven character, he's meant to be a two-handed character, that's how he's supposed to be played. But if you give him a one-handed weapon, and it just happens to have a higher durability than any two-handed weapon he's carrying, he's going to switch to that sword, which is going to kind of mess up his entire style of gameplay. So what I recommend doing is don't give your teammates any weapons. If there's a spare weapon you have no use for, keep it and sell it at the next shop, because you're going to need your money for potions. After freeing the Great Eagle Belaram in like the first level, you unlock the ability to call Belaram in battle. Basically he will either kill an enemy or do heavy damage to an enemy. Like basically any enemy apart from a boss or a troll who's a mini boss he'll kill. With a troll he'll do heavy damage. With a boss, I've never used them against a boss actually, must try that out. If I say he'll just do mild damage. But it's a very useful ability to have, and it's not unlimited. You have to collect Great Eagle feathers, and for every time you call him it uses up one feather. There's an achievement to call him 10 times in one playthrough, which is pretty easy. I got that achievement before I was even halfway through the game on my first playthrough, so don't worry about that, it's easy. If you're battling a troll, who, like I said, there's a mini-boss character, you're not going to want to use your normal attacks. You're going to want to spam the fuck out of all your power attacks and your special attacks, because trolls have a fucking ridiculous amount of health, and with your normal little frickin' attack, you're not going to kill it. Well, you will, but it'll take fucking forever, and you'll have to roll out of the way and go up and hit him, and roll out of the way and go up and hit him. or you can just kick his ass with some special attacks, and or you could call Belaram, like I said. There's nice little player-initiated kill animations in this. Like when you damage an enemy so much, or you knock them to the ground, a little upside-down yellow triangle appears above them, which means they're vulnerable for a critical hit. And a lot of times that will be a kill hit, which gives you bonus experience, and sometimes it can trigger a little animation, like a little slow motion of you chopping their head off and you see it, or like you chopping off their legs or their arm. Like I said, pretty awesome critical hits. And that is the reason why this game is the first Lord of the Rings game to get an 18+ rating, just because of the blood and the beheading and the removal of limbs and stuff. This game is very, very rich in lore. It has more lore than any of the previous Lord of the Rings games do, where they just follow the story of the whatever movie they're based on in the end. I would kind of compare this game to Lord of the Rings The Third Age. I would say it's very close to that, actually. It is a non-turn based Lord of the Rings The Third Age, but vastly better than The Third Age was. Lord of the Rings The Third Age being one of the very few turn-based games I actually like. This is a non-turn based, more RPG-ish version of that, and it's amazing. The game is so rich in lore and rich in accuracy to the books and the movies were, that they actually made sure that they kept the orc blood black, which is a very important thing in the whole lore and the history of Lord of the Rings. Orc blood is black, it is not red. So thank you for having it black. You frequently come across a lot of different chests in the game. So say you open a chest, and then a little bit further ahead you decide, oh, you've done something wrong and you want to like go back to a checkpoint, or you die and you have to restart that area, and you go to the same chest and it's giving you the option to open it again. It will not have the same equipment that it had the previous time. It'll always change, which I think is also nice, so like you're not bored going, oh, I know what's in this chest, I don't want it, I know what they expect in this chest. It'll be something different and something random every time. You get a code for a two-handed sword with the collector's edition of the game, and that sword will actually last you the first few hours of the game. It's like an orc chieftain sword, and it will last you the good first few hours easily as either the ranger or the champion, and then you'll get rid of it for better gear. And that's what you'll spend most of the rest of the game doing then, swapping out your gear for better stuff, as it will come along fairly often, so you never get bored of what you have. Your armour and weapons can also be upgraded by inserting elf stones into them. Not every piece of armour or not every weapon has the ability to do this, but you'll see it and they have a slot on them, and you can equip it. It'll give you either extra stats, bonus damage, bonus armour, more health. It's a very, very useful thing to have. It's just a nice little bit of bonus for your weaponry. At the minute on my second playthrough as a mage, I have plus 50 shock damage, and that does make a big difference and a big help against the stronger enemies in the game. Sometimes when you're walking through a fairly narrow or semi-narrow area, and one of your teammates says standing here and you walk up, you're not going to fucking get past. There's like an invisible barrier created by your teammate, and you're not going to be able to get past them. Eventually they do move, it only lasts a few seconds, but it's annoying while it happens. Just a little problem, but like, it's alright, I guess. This isn't just like another one of those hack and slash games where you're fighting the same people over and over and over again. The game constantly adds new enemies that you have to fight in new different ways. Like slower enemies, but they're stronger enemies that have a shield, so you can't attack them with ranged abilities until you destroy their shield. Enemies that run at you, so you have to dodge. Enemies that explode. So they're continuously changing and adding more and more different types of enemies, so the gameplay doesn't get dull. You don't get bored by going into area after area and killing the same people over and over again. I was actually hoping for some more new areas in this title. A lot of the areas any Lord of the Rings fan will be familiar with already. Rivendell, Mirkwood, Bree. But what I will say is Nordenbad, as far as I'm aware, is a new area. I can't remember it from before. The city of Fornost, I remember Fornost from the Battle of Middle-earth 2 expansion game. So not many new areas, but there's a few. I noticed zero screen tearing issues, no frame rate issues. Game just ran perfectly. The entire way through there was no glitches, no gameplay problems. It just worked like it's supposed to, which is always refreshing to have in a game on release day without it having to be patched up. You can return to one of the several camps in the game to repair your equipment and change your appearance, like Rivendell, Bree, Nordenbad, Sarn, whatever, it's some ranger camp. And a disappointing thing is the character customization abilities, as in their appearance. You can only change their face, and they're very, very limited. There's 5 preset face options, you have to pick one of those. Certain amount of hair options, again very limited, like 5 or 6. Same for beards, and you just have to pick one and you have to stick with that. You can change it as many times as you want, but there's just not very many options. Which is a tad disappointing for an RPG, because you want to make a character look exactly how you want them to look. But like I said, it's very, very limited on that front. This game behaves similar to Fallout and Oblivion in the way that as your weapon condition decreases, it's the amount of damage it does decreases, or the amount of protection the armour gives you decreases. In games like that, I hate whenever weapons go down in condition and they break. But in this, I don't really mind it, because the repairs aren't super duper overpriced like in Fallout, where if you have an anyway good weapon, you're going to be paying a couple of thousand caps to get it fully repaired. On this, you're looking at a few hundred coins, which is really nothing if you just sell one piece of extra equipment, which you will have plenty of throughout this game. This game doesn't have an encumbrance system, so you can carry essentially as much as you want. There's no weight limit on the amount of things you can carry, but there's just a limited amount of inventory slots for helmets, shoulders, chests, legs, swords and shields, and amulets and rings. There's just a limited amount of slots. And for the miscellaneous items, there's a limited amount of slots, but there's no weight limit, which is a nice little change from most RPGs, where you're eventually get encumbered and you end up fucking walking like this. So thank God that's changed. One more thing I like about this game is, like in Dragon Age, for example, when you're fighting, you can't like open chests or nothing like that. In this, you can easily just walk over to a chest and open it while in the middle of a fight. Not a particularly necessary addition to the game, but it's there and I like it. You see it because in Dragon Age, when you're battling, it locks you onto like one character and you can't really change your focus away. In this, like I said, there's no lock-on system, so you're free to walk around and do whatever you want actually during a fight. You don't need to stay right focused on the fight. You can move your camera whatever way you want around, as opposed to being focused on the battle, which is always nice. There's no stamina in this game, so you can run as much as you want and you can fight as much as you want without having to slow down and wait for your stamina to regenerate. Not very RPG-like, but I'm not complaining, I quite like that. Thank you. There's so much different gear and different weapons, different shields, helmets and everything in this game, and what I really like about them is all the cutscenes in this game are all gameplay quality cutscenes, and all the dialogue are also essentially mini cutscenes, and any gear changes you have will show up in that, as opposed to in previous games I've played, where it'll just show the default set of armour from the beginning of the game in the cutscenes, because they've been too lazy to put in the different options. I mentioned before about being able to give your companions gear. You don't need to do that. They will actually get themselves new armour and new weapons somehow themselves, and it will change. You'll notice it change. But again, I don't mind that. Let them. It takes a bit more weight off my shoulders and having to not worry about me and them as well, making sure I'm well equipped and making sure they're well equipped. They sort it out themselves. The graphics in this game are stunning. The visuals and the environments, beautiful. The facial animations when your characters are speaking are perfect, or as close to perfect as you're going to get. There was even a level where a character is speaking to a bird, just a little bird, and you can even see the bird's beak. It even moves in rhythm with the chirping. I've noticed a lot of voice actors actually from the Battle of Middle-earth PC games. You meet 2 Sons of Elrond earlier on, so 2 elf characters obviously, and they actually are voiced by whoever voiced some of the elven soldiers in the Battle of Middle-earth 2 game, which I thought was quite nice. That the fact that people who have voice acted in Lord of the Rings games before are still involved with future Lord of the Rings games. I feel like this Lord of the Rings game is more closely related to the PC games than it is to the actual film series, so you should play the PC games as well, and you'll get a bit more of an understanding of the places they are and the characters that they're talking about in this. Another really good thing I'll say about this game is there's very, 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 very short load times, a few seconds. That's it, instead of sitting for a minute, 2 minutes just waiting for the next area to load. The load times in this are tiny, so I'm very, very pleased about that, and it's always good to have a game with short load times, because you don't want to sit bored, just like any Lord of the Rings fan, which you can tell I am, is not going to be disappointed with this game. Amazing gameplay, amazing lore. All the characters are still visually similar to what they look like in the movies. Aragorn looks like Viggo Mortensen, Legolas looks like Orlando Bloom, Elrond looks like Agent Smith out of the Matrix. Everyone looks the same. but the voices have changed for everyone apart from Gandalf. We need Gandalf's voice. Gandalf is like the narrator of this game at the start. He narrates the entire opening cutscene hoo-ha, and it's nice to have Gandalf in there because everyone loves Gandalf. The ending of the game, it was not disappointing. It was a very, very fun ending, with a brilliant cutscene at the end. Quite stunning, really. And I want to play it again, and I am playing it again, and I'm halfway through my second playthrough, and I want to beat that boss again, just so I can watch that cutscene, because it was amazing. Whenever you finish the game once with one character, it then gives you the option to start a second playthrough of the game with any of the 3 characters, and whichever character you choose will still have in that character's inventory whatever you had whenever you played through the game last time. Whatever you had, whatever leftover weapons or equipment will now be in this new character's inventory, and your new character will also be at the same level as you were before, so the game scales itself up, makes itself more difficult, gives you access to more higher tier gear, higher level gear, which I really like. It just improves the replay value of the game and just gives you more replay value. All the boss battles in this game too are very, very fun. You have to fight each boss in a very different way. There'll be ones that need you to attack from far away, there'll be ones that need you to defend and wait, there'll be the ones that just grind and grind and grind until they're ready for a critical hit. And it just keeps changing it up and keeps it interesting all the time. And one last thing I just noticed, like, very, very recently, just before filming this, while I was climbing up Mount Gundabad, again, which I know Gundabad from the Battle of Middle-earth 2 expansion, which is the home of the Black Orcs. Actually, also talking about that expansion, you meet a race called the Black Numenorians, and it turns out that Agandaur, the main enemy in this, is a Black Numenorian, which is also a nice touch, just for fans of that series and the main Lord of the Rings series, and just wanting more lore and more history of the game. But anyway, as I was saying about the nice little thing I found, I was walking up that mountain and it was snowing, and whatever way I turned the camera around, it gave me a close-up of my character's head, and there was snowflakes landing on the helmet and then melting and more landing on the helmet. And I just thought that was a really, really nice touch, because I'm sure there's lots of games like that when the game is snowing or when the game is raining, nothing happens to your character looks exactly the same. But in this, if it's raining, you'll see wet patches in your armour. If it's snowing, you'll see the snow land on you. It's just a stunning game. So all the dialogue in this game is like a mini cutscene. All the cutscenes are gameplay quality, it's all beautiful. The gameplay's fun, the gameplay's immersive, the story's great, the leveling up's great, your talent trees are brilliant, the amount of different gear is always refreshing, the amount of environments, the amount of different places you can visit, the side challenge missions that are kind of like in Nazi Zombies mode. Just everything about this game together makes it an amazing game. Now, I would say Game of the Year candidate, but this game isn't a big AAA title, so it's not going to be Skyrim, it's not going to be Battlefield 3, it's not going to beat them, it's not going to beat Arkham City, but it should, because it is a better game. It is not open world, it's linear, whatever, but essentially I can't really flaw the game. It doesn't have anything particularly annoying in it, it doesn't have anything that they shouldn't have done. It's just a perfect specimen of a game. Now, I could be talking about this with a little bit of bias, I don't know, because I am a big Lord of the Rings fan, but this game is definitely worth the money. I got the entire collector's edition for £55 sterling. The American collector's edition is actually a big leather sheath, arrow sheath with 2 arrows in it, and when you unroll the arrows there's the map of the game inside it. Pretty nice, but we in Europe didn't get this, we got the statue. But anyway, yes, I give the game, say, a 9 out of 10. The only thing I would have liked would have been longer. It was only a 14-hour campaign. Not really that long for an RPG. An RPG should have a longer campaign than that. So 14 hours on normal difficulty. Like I said, should be longer, but what can we do? The game only has 46 achievements, which leads me to believe there's going to be DLC relatively soon. They are going to bring out more of those challenge side missions, but there should be more DLC than that, hopefully. So I'm going to keep fingers crossed for that. So okay guys, thanks for watching another review. This game's a 9 out of 10, it's worth your money. Just remember, along the top here is the gameplay videos and the unboxing videos earlier on. I'll put everything in the description. and subscribe for upcoming gameplay videos, more reviews, unboxings, blah blah blah.